Hello, Captain Australia in his hammock. Why am I talking like this? I don't know. Something wrong with me and I don't know how to fix it.
Um, Hello. So I'm all set up in my camp, and I thought I'd do a quick stream and just, have a chatty little recap over the walk so far. I do have a minor crisis as well, but I think I have a solution.
Kane York, my friend, how are you? Look at that. Oh no, there's a hole in me tarp. So, got me first aid kit, and this might not be much of a solution, but got a band-aid, and I thought, just so we don't get any uncomfortable rain leaking through in the night, we could, sorry, I'll just pop you down here for a second and see if this might work even just a little bit. That's, oh, this band-aid's a little bit dodgy. Band-aid on the top. It's very windy. There we go, a band-aid on the top. Now don't shoot at it. So, hole in the top, band-aid on the hole. Probably not going to work for too long, but if it does, it has been raining a little bit, so hopefully that'll keep me dry. Yeah, so I thought we could just sort of recap over the walk so far, because I think since coming to the South Coast, there's been a lot of new radio publicity and some people coming checking it out. It's very windy here, by the way. It's going to be a chilly night, I think, but I'm pretty comfy. So I set out on Boxing Day. I guess the whole thing started a year before that. So it was leading up to Christmas. It would have been 2020. Um, I had survived a stage 4 cancer, but my life was just slowly unraveling, falling to pieces. When I reached that point, I was basically just a ghost waiting to die. I had allowed the disease, although it had failed to kill me, I had allowed it to eat away at my hope, my sense of place in the world, my relationships, my everything, every other dimension of your life. And it was only the fact that I have a wife who I love and children that I adore that I was living, really. Otherwise, I probably would have just been paralyzed by my grief and sadness. And there we go. Sorry, just getting a bit more wriggly comfy. Um, and I realized that I had to fix myself. I figured I was underperforming as a parent, as a role model, as the person in my children's life who gave them guidance and inspiration. And you see, that was the worst thing about the cancer, the idea that in checking out, in dying, I would I would darken my children's life. And so when I realized that by being so broken, I was potentially risking the same outcome, I immediately knew I had to fix it. So I remembered a walk I took as a child. When I was 15 years old, I left home to escape a pretty bad domestic situation and go and live with my grandma. And I walked from Brisbane to Gloucester, which is about 100k north of Sydney. And it was like it was going from broken to hope. It was like leaving the hospital room where you thought you were fated to die and just walking out and you're whole and healthy and everything's going to be okay. So I remembered that feeling and I decided that if I took a big walk again, it could heal me, make me better. And by investing hope in that and growing hope and deciding to be of service, I was able to fix myself. I did a lot of practice walks, a lot of getting ready, and I decided to help a charity, and that's where the being of service part came into it. And that's where I figured I should superhero up for science and do the walk as the buffhead superhero Captain Australia. And the rest, well, you know about that. So on Boxing Day, which was incidentally my birthday last year, I set out. I had done a bunch of practice walks leading up to that, built the uniform, bought the pack, bought the boots, got all that sort of stuff ready to go, bought the big flag that advertised the charity. And yeah, on Boxing Day, hit the road. And I think my hammock is, no, it's all right. Yep. Okay. So, I think the first days of the walk were characterized by just real struggle. I overpacked. I put stuff in there that I just stupidly didn't need. Like I included a wrench, weighed more than a kilo, a big, like really solid wrench. My logic was that if I was in a stretch like I am now, where there might be no reliable water, I might find like an old shut down business or a building, but where they've taken the tap heads off and tamper with them using a wrench, idiot that I am. Universal tap head, a guy in Port Macquarie gave me one of those. This little weighs 100 grams, little cross-shaped thing that you can put on any tap. Bang, I can never be friends with that guy because he's living proof that I'm a moron. So I bought a wrench. I had to dump that off. I bought 4 variations of the Captain Australia costume. Had to dump a couple of them off. Um, I just had overpacked and everything was heavier than it was meant to be. Maybe about as heavy as it is now, but I'm stronger now. And I was very sooky. I was walking away from my children. My heart was in it and not in it at the same time. So the first weeks of the walk were about adapting, acclimating, getting better. And when I started walking along the coast, along the beach, and seeing sunrises and being near the ocean, I started to get into the therapy of it. So I started to unpack and process grief, both from my cancer and even from before that, like stuff that I hadn't processed in my life, since I was a child, like the feeling of unworthiness, the feeling that I am unworthy of love, which I think you get when your parent is compromised. My dad left when I was very little, but my mum, she had addiction in her life, not her fault or anything, but she just, but it impressed on me as a child that I was less important than that and therefore unworthy of love. And, I just processed a whole lot of that sort of stuff and left it on the beach. So if you saw me walking in the early weeks along the beach, part through the Gold Coast and down towards Coffs Harbour, Byron Bay and all of that, you'd probably see me sobbing and crying. Grown man dressed like a superhero walking down the beach, just crying. But what I was doing was processing that grief and feeling it properly feeling it and then leaving it there on the beach. And that's left room for other things to come in. So I think that's where the growth started. I think that by just emptying all of the accessories of my daily life away and emptying away all the grief and the unneeded things, I allowed room for new stuff to grow, strength, rebuild my sense of personal pride and ethics and, try and figure out who I wanted to be. The only human, mate, says Kaz. Hey, I'm superhuman, man, baby. Don't know what I'm saying. No, you're right. I'm completely only human. Probably below average human at that. But the thing is, the thing that I've learned in this walk is that only human is just a really silly thing to say because we all, as one beautiful tribe, we're powerful. We lift each other up. So humans are best when we work together as teams and trust each other and find ways to, you know, create meaningful art, beautiful solutions, kindness, compassion, and all that stuff. And I think, so in the start of my walk, I had 3 simple rules. No help, sleeping rough, no vehicles. So the no help and the sleeping rough thing, that first changed in Ballina. So I was sitting on a fence outside of Ballina. I was crying a little bit because I was missing my children. I'd been walking through torrential rain. There was an offshore cyclone apparently. It drove just constant rain. So I couldn't keep my feet dry. They were all mangled up, lots of blisters and problems. And anyway, I met this woman called Jo. And Jo, oh, thank you, Rick, not below average at all. Cheers. So Jo just came up, jumped up onto the fence next to me and said, "Hey, mate, you want a kombucha?" She gave me a can of kombucha. I didn't know it came in cans. And we glugged one each and just talked. We swapped stories. And I think she saw that I was wallowing, and she my phone was broken and needed repair, and I wasn't going to make it to the shop in time. I didn't know this lady at all, but I could see the purity of her heart. And I asked if she was going that way, could she drop the phone in so I would be able to get there in time, pick it up, and they would have time to repair it before the shop shut. No worries, mate, she said. Took the phone, shot ahead, and then I caught up later, got the phone, and she found me. And she actually had a mate who owned a local motel, and she'd asked for a bed. And they'd said, oh, I love the story. Yeah, no worries. So that's where the no help rule started to change. And I've been learning that to discourage kindness is to kill it. And kindness is a beautiful thing. We create it together. What you need to do is find ways to accept it and pay it forward and share it and grow it. So that was the first time I had that offer of hospitality. And since then, it's maybe on average 25% of the walk has been comfort, sleeping in a warm bed, not camping like this. But Joe, at the end, she said to me, you just looked like you needed a good day, mate. You just looked like you needed a good day. And she gave that to me, and I'll owe that to her, back to her for many years to come. And afterwards, she turned a little bit into like, Alfred to my Batman. So she got giggles from like checking paths for me, telling me where to go, and it got me into some trouble. So coming out of Ballina, it's a bit iffy. You get up on the freeway and, you know, toddle down that. Or she said, no, look, go there. I got a route for you, mate. Just follow my directions. Okay, 900 meters, turn left. Yep. Turn right, turn left. and, and following her directions, I eventually come to this dirt road. And I'm like, ring, ring, or text, Joe, are you sure? She's like, yeah, mate, straight down there. Follow that road. There's a fence. Joe, are you sure? Dot, dot, dot. Yeah, mate. Just open the gate, go through. And anyway, I wound up in the middle of a field where on my left there's a river, straight ahead there's a swamp, and to the right there's a forest. And I'm like, Joe? Joe? And she was gone. So I had to pull out the compass and just head west because I knew there was a road eventually to the west. It was a lovely adventure. And without Joe, I wouldn't have had that. That was like my Huck Finn going out on an adventure moment. And I had more of them since. Kristen says, Torlu Primary School are looking forward to meeting you. Okay, Torlu. So that's a town on the path, is it? Well, sorry, I'll have to search that after. Remember, old man Torlu. Remember Torlu. I love meeting schools. It's awesome. Like, they actually want me to go in and speak. I'll suss it out. Torlu. Okay. Um, but yeah, the walk, I think, started to change with Joe, and since then I met more kindness on the road. Like later, there was a farmer near Grafton. His name was Quinton. He was just riding his tractor, and he sees me toddling past, and he just jumps down, points at me, and says, "You need a cup of tea." Pulls me up onto his porch, introduces me to his wife Taki, and we have a cup of tea. And when I'm ready to move on, he says, "What? You're not staying?" And I'm like, "Oh, geez, really?" They put me up, fed me. It was lovely. And I think that kindness has become a new theme of the big walk, really. It was meant to be about showing you that a broken life can be fixed. And it was about me fixing myself. It was about helping the charity, showing that being of service is one of the finest ways that you can fix yourself. It's that simple. But then this new dimension of seeing and sharing kindness has added this sort of lovely flavor to it. And look, as I pushed through Sydney and came down into the south coast, it somehow just ballooned out. I think there's something about the suffering, my own suffering, that has amplified my own joy. And it could be that the suffering of the region, with all of the horrible fires and hardship to follow that, has unlocked a higher level of kindness here. Plus, I mean, I met Uncle Phil, who welcomed me to the Ewan Nation and sang his blessings and all of that. So the mood has all changed since Nowra, pretty much, since arriving on the south coast. Um, yeah, just more kindness, and it's become more of an our big walk instead of my big walk, and I love it. So for me, the big milestones were when I got to Sydney. Hated walking through Sydney; it was horrible, windy hills and confused looks, and just rain. crossing the harbour bridge was fun. I had a daily donut dare that I had to like dance when I was crossing the harbour bridge. That was funny. How are I charging your phone? Says Penelope. I've got a power bank. It's not in the hammock at the moment, but it's like a little brick-shaped black power bank, and it contains about 12, maybe as many as 14 charges of the phone. So basically, a good 6 days worth. So this next stretch where I won't be near any civilization for the next couple of days, well, people driving past, fine. I got plenty of power to keep me going. Okay, so that was the question from Penelope. But yeah, Sydney got through that. Wollongong started to get down into the south coast, started to see a change, and I think I'm still continuing to change as well. When I was at Mumbala, so it's the mountain where the local indigenous mobs would take boys to do a ceremony of manhood, where they go down through this sort of like a rock. It's almost like a water slide, and they fall into the water. And when they come out, they've put their childhood aside, and they come out as men. So it's only for men, just like Gulaga is a mountain mainly for women. And when I slept next to that mountain, I think I felt changed. But I also met a wonderful, wonderful person, wonderful family, and just shared some real insights and learnings. So I'm kind of musing to myself now rather than telling you the story. But yeah, I'm continuing to change. And I've always just felt that, like, all of this confused streaming and old man rambles, it's really about trying to show you that positive change, even after the most broken, darkest possible cage that your life could fall into, is possible. And, I don't have any special skills or abilities. I just had the hope. I was able to weave hope into the idea that a walk, a pilgrimage, could cure me, could make me better. And it is, and it has. So I think there's hope in that for other broken people. And that's one of the main reasons I do all this and try to share as nakedly as possible, the truth of what I'm experiencing. And I'm a bit shy and I'm a bit awkward, and sometimes I feel like a complete fool. So I try to explain something to you, and I feel like an idiot, but I just want to do my best in case it is useful to someone. Wendy J. Love. Hello, Wendy. Like your name. Now, this blanket was given to me by Murray in the Gold Coast after a rainy incident where I got all wet and horrible and cold. And it belonged to his mother, who died of cancer, and he asked me to carry it in honor of her. So, Murray, just if you're ever watching this, I'm still carrying your mum's blanket, and it's my honor and privilege to do that. Yeah, so I cross the Victorian border tomorrow. It's just another one of these milestones. I will, keep pushing to Melbourne. I reckon I'll be done in 20 days, probably. Like, if it's 550 kilometers, even at only 20 kilometers a day, that's like 27 days. Kane York, the Captain Australia show is the best reality TV I've ever seen. I've been spreading the word about, oh geez, you and your cause everywhere I go. Thank you for rekindling my spark, which had gone out until the day I met you. I love that, Kane. Love following your progress and adventures. I mean, mate, but you're such a great dad. When you told me about your daughter, I saw that love in your eyes and the lessons that you would give. You dyed your hair pink to teach your daughter. But you have to live. One thing I learned, I can't live just for my sons and just for my wife. I have to live for myself as well. So that sense of momentum in your life, that sense of doing good, being righteous, getting better is crucial. It's really important. So good on you, Kane. But the fact that you'd attribute uh, movement in that direction to me is humbling, mate, because I think you're a wonderful guy. I loved those times meeting you on the road, mate. You're a good sort. Rick Thompson, you are a true inspiration to so many people. Your trek has infected so many people with kindness and love. In a love infection, I think, isn't that more like chlamydia or something, mate? You don't want those kinds of infections, buddy. No, I thank you. That's a lovely thing to say, Rick. Good on you, mate. Um, And yeah, so tomorrow I cross the Victorian border. I find the border crossings to be momentous. I think entering Sydney, I saw the harbour bridges like crossing a border, but it was really like, the halfway point of the walk. Um, and yeah, I reckon 3 weeks and I'll be done. No more than 3 weeks. Yeah, no, it was fine, mate. Infection, nice. Um, but yeah, the once I get to Melbourne, I'll fall to the ground in Federation Square, hug the ground, kiss it. I don't know if there'll be like some people have said they want to be there to welcome me. I don't know if it will be 1, 3, 5, 50, or 500. Um, I think I care more about the quality than the quantity, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, and I've met so many quality people. I feel so privileged and blessed. Um, yeah, but getting into Melbourne, I hope there'll be a last little bit of media because whenever there has been media, the charity just goes ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. And I'm mindful of just how much of a stuff up I am with all the social media stuff. I haven't even gotten around to getting a new selfie stick after the one that this lovely guy David was able to hook me up with one in it was in Coffs Harbour, but it fell to pieces. So I keep destroying selfie sticks, and now I don't have any at all. So it's all hand camera work. Look at that. Oh, look at, whoa, out, in, to the right, sexy angle. Oh, no, see? And look what I did. Don't rotate your phone. See, I broke Facebook. Um, Kristen says, I read an awesome quote from a guy that walked a lap around Oz for cancer. We live in deeds, not years. I don't think anyone circumnavigated Australia. So people have asserted they've done it, but what they've done is like done bits of it virtually or came back 3 years later and done it in legs or whatever. What I'd like to see is somebody who sets out from Sydney, for instance, and walks around the outer coastline of Australia. It would take a year. It's like 14,800 kilometres or something like that. I can't remember the exact number. I think that would be a crackerjack achievement. I'd I'd attempt it if a sponsor would throw like a few $100,000 at the bloody charity, but no, I mean, I also really would hate to do that. I just want to get to Melbourne and go home and live happily ever after with my wife and kids, you know. But yeah, doing a lap around Oz, I reckon that would be a great thing. What I would love is if somebody saw this big walk and were inspired to attempt a circumnavigation and do it for a great charity. Choose their own one, whatever resonates for them as an important charity, and do it over a year and do this kind of streamy sort of stuff. Do it as a journey, like a personal journey as well as a literal physical journey. Anyway, Traralgon, Sale, and Lakes Entrance, and all these towns along the way. If you live in them and you want to meet Captain Australia, I would be delighted. I am going to cross the border tomorrow, and then over the following 3 weeks, I'm going to slowly plod my way into Melbourne. And that's the plan, that's the goal, and that's about it. I think there's been too many weird, surreal experiences along the way to recount them all. But when I get home, I'm going to make a map. I'm going to, like, represent in the map little postcards and little stories of the places that I went along the way, little anecdotes and stuff. So, and I'll make that and I'll share it. So anybody who's curious to know exactly the route I took and all of that sort of stuff can check it out. Anyway, chickadee chickadee chatty, but the daylight's going to fade soon, so I'm going to FaceTime my family. Oh, my youngest son's learning the saxophone, or as I call it, the sexy phone. Do 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 do. I cried. Oh, my wife sent me a little video of him doing his first little practice. Just he did it at school today. Before school, he's in the band, so he's in grade 4 now. And yeah, so we rented this saxophone from the school, and he gets to take it home and practice. And my wife sent me a video of the little man, do 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 do, and it was just I cried so much. I'm so proud of him. Anyway, yeah, and my eldest son got bullied at school today. This little bugger pulled his pants down. He's in grade 8. Pulled his pants down and pushed him over, cracked the screen of his phone. So, dude, if you're Toby, if you're ever watching this, mate, you and me will have a chat one day, huh? Don't go pulling my son's pants down. Don't touch my son. Don't touch anybody's son. Bullying is just, it's a crap thing to do, you know? You do it out of, I don't know, meanness. I think everybody can be redeemed. Everybody has great potential for beauty and decency and kindness in it. But bullies, it's one of these things that it like kindness amplifies the world and it grows and spreads, but bullying darkens it, and that spreads too. So yeah, come on. I hope it's got nothing to do with me. Like they're not picking on him because of the Captain Australia stuff. Jeez. But yeah, got his pants pulled down and pushed over at school, grade 8 in high school. So I've had all of these rants, like my mate Callum at Ulladulla who got bullied. Lovely boy. He should not be bullied. And if you're a bully, you should make it right. You apologize and you make it right. Instead of making a victim, make a friend, you know? And then there's Haley, this lovely, like gorgeous, sweet girl I met on the side of the road, also a victim of bullying. What's going on? What is going on? You think it's cool to just, abuse someone? I think people are just misdirecting their own confusion and rage. Could be COVID stuff or even, parental stuff or whatever, and you just sort of point it in whatever the easiest target is. Don't do that. Don't do that. Anyway, I am walking from Brisbane to Melbourne. I am not completely mental, just a little bit. Margaret says, keep up the good work, Captain Australia. Have a good night's rest. Thank you. So I am on a mad quest to beat cancer. Not my own, to beat pediatric cancer. Yeah, so we're marching against cancer or we're marching for hope. And we're almost done. 3 more weeks and I reckon we'll be there. So I am set up in my hammock. You can kind of see out there is the little sort of burnt out forest. And you can see how nice and tight the tarp is over the top there. And pretty comfy. So I'm going to FaceTime my kids, tell them I love them, FaceTime my wife, tell her I love her, and I'll be up tomorrow at Sparrowfart and heading towards the border. So I don't know if I'll have service tomorrow, any or none, but I will do my best to document the remaining days of my walk and share them with you in case they are either funny, illuminating, or, I don't know, of some kind of a value. Anyway, all the very best. My name is Simon. I dress up as the bullfed superhero Captain Australia, and it's Captain Australia's Big Walk. You take care of yourselves and don't bully people. Bye.